Hey gang, how is everybody doing out there? Hang tight for 1 second. We'll get things going. Just needed to get a little bit of a snack in me there for a sec. And we'll talk shop and all that stuff. We'll have a good time. So I'm gonna go ahead and kick this off. And are you gonna hang out in here, or are you taking that? Okay. So we got some. There's hardly anything in there. Got some exciting news, and we'll just kind of talk about moving forward with the shop and all that stuff. We'll answer some questions if y'all have any. Otherwise, we're just going to shoot the you know what. So let's go ahead and kick it. How's everybody doing? How about that? I hope everybody's doing well. Let's see. Let's do a little bit of a shout out here. Let me get this. Maybe I just need to lower myself down a little bit. Yeah, that's better. I think it's better. Alexandre Chagas. Boa note tudo ben com vocês. I have no idea what that even means, but I believe it something about good evening. Anyhow, sign commanders, how you doing? Hope you're doing well, buddy. Dave, that's right. We are just kind of or at least myself, just getting a little something to eat before well, I can't say I'm going to get back at it tonight, but definitely been a long hot day, that's for sure. Let's see. Eddie SJ, how are you doing? But so, man, been kind of feel like it's been a while. I know it's been a couple of weeks since I did a live. I'm a little late just because we were trying to get some work finished up before let's see, before I went live. Part of the plan really was to maybe go go live while I was printing some shirts, but I think instead what I'll do is maybe film that tomorrow. I got a design on press. I'm just still getting caught up with everything, and and it's a pretty cool design, but it needed some color changes. I started running off a couple shirts and I was like, man, something's missing. So I went back to the image and I was like, nah, this isn't right. So I had to kind of stop. Thank you. Kind of had to stop there and make a few adjustments here lately. I've been handing over some of the more of the separation responsibilities to Michelle. I feel like she's been working with me long enough that she's got a pretty good she's got a good gist of about how to go about it, and I'll generally kind of check things when it's a little more complicated of a print. But in this case, it was a little on the complicated side. Said, hey, do this and that. For the most part, it was pretty close. There's a few things that you just kind of have to keep an eye out on when it comes to simulated process, because it's not easy. I mean, you know, anytime I separate something, I kind of know what to look out for, and if depending on the graphic, I'd say maybe 85% of the time we get on there, looks fine. We might adjust one screen or two, but with trying to give her more responsibility, not responsibility, just kind of rely. I'm just trying to rely on her more, so that way I'm trying to get away from the separation stuff and really looking forward to just kind of running the business here in the future. Hopefully here in the near future, I'd like to hire a screen printer, someone that knows how to run an automatic and all that. Ah, thanks, Sign Commander. Appreciate that. Stop before you hurt yourself, says Dave. Anyways, I guess the point is, moving forward, I'm trying to get things back to where they were at, but also I'm trying to pull myself away from the screen printing aspect. It'll take some time, but that's the ultimate goal, and to just kind of make sure everybody's doing what they need to do. And on a good note, Shannon is here. She's actually here. I asked her if she wanted to be on the live today, and today was her first day back, so that's awesome. She answered some phone calls, and it's kind of getting back into the routine. That was, I honestly don't think she really missed a beat, but sitting in a chair for too long for her is more difficult. So she has to take some more breaks. She took a break around 2ish or so. And she is here. I don't know if she's going to come in, but I'm gonna go over to the chat real quick. I know I don't have it on the screen. That's something else I'm working on. So I'm trying to get back into doing the YouTube thing, recording videos. As I was mentioning, I have a job on press. I think I want to record what is going on with the spot process and kind of show what it is that we did have to change, so that way you guys can learn from it as well. Going back to the chat, damn it boy, missed you, bro. Well, we miss you guys too. I miss y'all. I miss making videos. Here lately it's just kind of been hectic with everything that's kind of gone on, but I feel like things are kind of you know, we had a plateau of just so much going on, and now we're in a much better place. Shannon's feeling better. She's still recovering. However, all great things. All great things. Happy to have her coming back in, and she was staying at her mom's for a while. Just because it was hard for me to kind of keep an eye on her, but I feel like I keep saying but I'm happy about that. Happy about that. And we had a client come in, and we kind of talked, and he's like, hey man, I've got a contract client, got a lot of work for you if you want to take it as much as you want. So I think that's a good thing, in a sense that if I hire someone in the near future, that's what I'd like to do. I'd like to hire a screen printer and kind of let them shadow me, hand over the responsibility to them, just kind of check on them, help out where I can. I just kind of want to just manage the business, kind of expedite everybody, and then you know, just get it towards where I'm not doing as much of the manual labor and stuff like that. Not that I don't enjoy it, but I feel like there's some parts of the business that just need attention, whereas I haven't really had a whole lot of time to give other parts of the business attention. So how have you guys been? How's screen printing going for you guys? How are your businesses going? Let me know in the chat. If there's anybody that does have a question, let me know in the chat. It could be about anything, really. It could be about screen printing. It could be about what's going on with us. Whatever the case may be, I'm going to go over to the chat real quick. Today was the horse's day yet. Stop before you hurt yourself. I think I read that one. That went off. Hottest. Oh, okay. City Print screen printing. Hey, I hope you guys are doing good. We're hanging in there. We're doing better. I'd say we're kind of I don't know. It's hard to really kind of label it with everything going on, and it's like here's this. It's it hadn't been. I mean, it's still stressful, but it's not as stressful as before. Getting into the routine, I think those that didn't really stick around through all this stuff kind of says, uh, I guess the best way to put it is moving forward. The people that actually have my back are here. So, and now we're just going to add to the team. Let's see what else we got here. Excuse me, those damn chips and bean dip didn't do my throat any good. Need to wet my whistle. Send love to our girl. Definitely, I'll let her know. Hey, Shannon, everybody sending her love your way. I don't know if she heard that since the shop's a lot bigger. Well, not a lot bigger. I said everybody's sending love your way. I'm in South Korea now. Nice to see you. Well, thanks for joining us all the way from South Korea. That's awesome. Let's see. What else we got here? I'm new to automatic printing. What can I do to prevent screen breakdown on long runs? Honestly, with long runs, if you know you're going to do a long run, and if for us a long run is 1,000 to a few thousand shirts, I would coat the screen. Just coat it 1 and 1, or coat it 1 and 2. Let it dry, and then maybe go back and do another pass on the t-shirt side to just kind of build it up a little bit. And then, expose your screens, and then tape. Once you got everything registered off, just completely tape up the entire screen where your squeegee is going to be running, especially along the where your edges of your blades stop. In other words, your squeegee is going down the screen, it's pushing off the ink to the sides. Just tape it right there as well, and then tape off around your image, and it should hold up all day long, as long as you don't print on an empty palette. And depending on the emulsion, sometimes it can pull that stuff off, but that's generally how we'll go about treating it for the most part. If it's a 1,000-piece run, we'll just put a little tape along the sides where the edge of the squeegee rides, and that tends to do the trick. And if your emulsion's breaking down sooner than 1,000 prints, then maybe try hardening it, just putting it out in the sun for a little bit. Anything you can do to just kind of make your stencil a little more durable. You can even probably just get an emulsion hardener that you just wipe on. That will help too. Manager Matt, our new customer service rep. Let's see what else we got here. Been nonstop. That's good. The same here. We've been going at it. Actually, this weekend I was working on some shirts. Was doing some work for a couple of clients. I was hoping to have the job I have on press today all wrapped up, but one of the things we've kind of run into here lately that's set us back was with all the shortages out there, and now that COVID's finally caught up to us, I've been trying out different emulsions, because the emulsion that I generally like, the Ulano TZ emulsion, they're out of stock. I don't know if it's just that they're out of stock, or if they just don't have any more, or if they're not continuing to produce TZ emulsion. So I've tried some others. One of them was just a complete wash. I got the emulsion from GSG, and the way these emulsion companies are doing it now is just, when it comes to diazo emulsion, is they are just kind of zip tying the little diazo container to the side. I bought a gallon of emulsion. It didn't have the diazo or the. If you go over and check out on Instagram, it just looks white, clear. Doesn't have anything in it. And I thought to myself, I'm like, that's weird. So it turns out that it was missing the blue dye additive, which I don't know why we have to mix it in there now. It's like, geez, I guess they're just trying to keep the price at a certain point. I don't know. But you have to mix that in there. The diazo wasn't in there. I coated a screen. I'm like, man, I know this isn't going to be right. Coated a screen completely washed out. Had to go back up to GSG, and I was like, hey, I need the diazo. I need the sensitizer. And they came out with a bucket of loose emulsion. What do you call it? Diazo. So we kind of had to guess, put it in there. Just didn't work. The screens were breaking down. And this is something new that I had learned, is I didn't really know that diazos had different types. So, I mean, generally it came in a box and here's the diazo, mix it in and we're good to go. Anyhow, hi from New Zealand. Howdy from Houston, Texas. Thanks for tuning in all the way from New Zealand. That's awesome. And I bet that's a beautiful country out there. Albert, Alejandro Perez P. Hello. How are you doing? Let's see, what else? Who else is here? Can you explain how to make underbase on dark garment for CMYK? Doing a underbase for CMYK, if you're using an underbase for CMYK, you're going to have to try and make it as bright as possible, which there's kind of a little bit of a give and take with that. In the past, I've tried 156 and 195. 195 will put down a little bit less ink, and then we print and flash that white base because you're trying to make it nice bright white. But also we would use a flattening screen. If you're not familiar with the flattening screen, once we're finished with this live, go and check out some of the videos that I have on flattening screens. I've got a couple. But the idea is to get that as flat as possible, as bright as possible as well, so that way your half tones will sit on there nicely. And then if you're printing on an underbase, from my experience, chances are you're not really going to be able to get away with just printing CMYK wet on wet on top of that plastisol base. What you'll actually need to do is flash in between every single color, which is a pain in the butt, but it will make for a nicer print. I'm not, even though I've done some videos on CMYK printing, I get it. I know how to print it, and we only do that in kind of a dire situation these days. But I've always experienced gain on press where initially the first few prints are like spot on, and then as you go on, it gets darker and darker and darker and darker and darker to the point towards where it's like, man, I hope this order doesn't get returned kind of thing. So that's how I would go about doing an underbase, white underbase for CMYK printing. Cherokee, North Carolina here. Hello, New Zealand. Judy Dawson. Hi, how are you doing? Eastern Shore Printing, long time no see. Good to have you, buddy. I hope everything's going well over at your shop. You guys will have to check out Eastern Shore Screen Printing on Instagram. It got it going on. Got a cool setup, awesome setup. Definitely, I think is a lot of people would be happy with Eastern Shore setup. Charlie Esquivel, I'm not even gonna. Okay, thanks. Anyways, signs have been crazy last 2 months, breaking records, but having problems getting substrate and aluminum. I think we've all kind of have felt that just the lack of supplies, whatever the case may be, I think everybody's hurting when it's coming to the supplies right now. Hold on, I'm going to take my shoes off. Ugh, get a little comfortable here. Mike, how you started using a 4-color one press, or is much better going money and try and get a professional press? Maybe no much expensive, but is good, because I don't know what I can do for it. There's nothing wrong with with starting off with a 4-color one station. I mean, I started off with a 1-color one station, and it served a purpose initially starting. What it did was it taught me about screen printing, and even in its most limited form, only being able to do 1 color, what kind of jobs I could pull in. And at that time, I was just looking for 1-color jobs, whatever I could get. And because I was learning, I really wasn't, I was pricing it pretty expensive. But if you're interested in getting to screen printing, and you're not quite sure it's something that you want to continue to do for the long haul, I would suggest. Excuse me, my camera likes to. I don't know why it does that, but I wouldn't suggest just going all out and buying a bunch of expensive equipment. And I'd try and find the best equipment you can find for your budget, or the money that you do have, because you can easily get just discouraged by having crappy equipment and it making things more frustrating. Even though there's something about the struggle of starting, and that's all you can afford is an expensive equipment, which there's nothing wrong with it. But if you can push through that and do your best and continue to learn through your mistakes, then after you get past that part, I say, yeah, I'd invest in some nicer equipment and just keep investing it into things that are going to make it faster for you, because you can only bring your prices up so high before you just kind of price yourself out of the market. So ideally, when it's just one person, you're trying to really just be able to produce as fast as you can, and every single little piece of equipment that you get will make it that much faster, to the point towards where it's not taking you long at all. Initially, it'll take some time, but that's okay. It's part of the learning experience. You're in H-Town? Howdy from San Antonio. Yep, in H-Town. If you're ever swinging through Houston, feel free to look us up, because the open door around here. We don't mind. Obviously we keep busy, but you're always more than welcome to stop by. George Lopez Design, Southern Cali in the house. Whoop whoop. Parece en español de Colombia. I forget what that word means. But howdy. Because I have almost 2 years in the business. Okay, well, I mean, if you've been in the business for 2 years, then yeah, just upgrade to what you can afford, and equipment's going to be with you for a long time. I've had some of my equipment for 6-7 years. Do you like the Speedball brand water-based ink? It's been a while since I've worked with Speedball. I think it's fine for a hobbyist, for doing it as a hobby, or maybe even if you're trying to get into screen printing. you know, what the heck? It's been a while since I've used it. I'm sure it's just fine, but you just speedball. There's nothing speedy about it. I'm gonna say that. I should call it slow ball because, from my understanding, speedball is water-based ink, and if you're just starting out, you'll learn really fast that it takes quite a bit of time to cure one shirt that is water based if you don't have the proper setup. Even here, we're not set up for water based, and that's mainly because of the dryer. In my opinion, sure you can get away with using a IR panel style of dryer, but a gas dryer is the best way to cure water-based inks. And I mean, you just have to have a pretty long tunnel for that t-shirt to dwell in there for a minute and a half to 2 minutes at, you know, 320 330 degrees without scorching. And so that's my thoughts on it. I wouldn't let that discourage you because it's never discouraged me, even though for us production wise, we just couldn't produce water-based shirts fast enough to make any off of it, which is why we continued to use water-based ink, or excuse me, plastisol ink. GSG bot McB. Did you know? I did know that. I noticed that probably, man, when was it? I think I went to their website and I saw, or it might even been an email that GSG acquired McB, which to me is fine. I hope that they still have some of the same employees, because McB, when it came to their knowledge and their, not that the customer service at GSG is great, but it's more of a McBee has always kind of been like a mom and pop thing where you come in and they could answer any question you have. I mean, there's times when I've gone in, even here recently, I'm like, hey, I'm looking at doing this. What do you got? How does it work? Like a dip tank. Recently got a dip tank, which I'm kind of doing a little bit of a video on that, an extended video in the sense that got it, tried it out. Now that I've used it for a couple, 2 or 3 months, I'll give your feedback on that. Hello, Mikey, Johnny HG Graphic. How you doing? Yeah, still using 4-color 2 station. Print mostly hot split transfers. Been on it for 5 or so years. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, if you're making some good money and you want to grow your business, then obviously you would take some of that and toss it into your upgrading your equipment. But if you're cool with what you got, then, you know, more power to you. I'm kind of like I'm happy with what we have. I'm sure we'll upgrade stuff down the line, and hopefully maybe get a press with more stations, more colors, so we're not that 8 and 9 colors are limiting, but who knows. Yep, that stuff is a pain. Good evening all. Quick color, can you talk a bit about your previous javelin? Would you recommend it for someone that has a good 6-color press but mostly 60 plus t-shirt orders? Yeah, I mean, I'd recommend it if you're on a budget and you're trying to get into automated screen printing. And I say that because they do require some repair generally when you get a javelin. And if you're not very mechanical savvy, or if you're not able to repair it yourself, you can end up spending a good amount of money on a tech that will actually come out and work on a Javelin. But they still make parts for them. For us, it was a great stepping stone because we were, and kind of circling back around to your 60 plus orders. I mean, we've, even to this day, we'll do 12 and 24. We don't do anything on the manual anymore. It's all on the automatic. We'll set it up, warm the pallets up, toss it on there, and get it off the press. It's very seldom that we're using the 4-color one station to do printing, and that's mainly because it's just so much faster on the automatic. It might take you a little bit more time to walk around the machine and all that stuff, but just kind of factor that into your screens or your setup costs. Which, speaking of, I think we're going to kind of move away from the whole screen fee thing, and I'll talk about that here in a second. I want to kind of sidetrack too much, but it all depends on how many orders you're kind of doing a month. If you feel like you're, with the amount of work that you currently have, if you're having a hard time keeping up with it and you're working weekends and you're just working yourself, you're just not able to keep up. And sure, you can hire help, but also with an automatic, once you get that thing set up and you kind of go through that little bit of a learning curve, you'll be able to crank them out a lot faster than you would on a manual. And for myself, when I initially got into automated printing, I mean, there was times when I was cursing. I'm like, man, I could have been done on the manual already. At the time it was taking me to do all that. But with having gone through all that, I'll definitely say once I kind of got through the learning curve of that, how to dial in your squeegee pressure and all that, between making sure that you got enough ink for, because there's a lot of times you can put ink in there and then after a couple dozen shirts you need to go back and ink it up a little more or collect your ink. But once you get past all that, I mean, you're at a slow pace, you're doing 250 shirts an hour. If you're really just jamming along, and it's, I'd say the 250 piece an hour thing generally for us is when it comes to 6 or 8 plus colors, where I'm having to, every couple of dozen shirts or 3 dozen shirts, I'll have to go and just make sure there's enough ink, because you run out on a automatic. It can, I mean, it's not the end of the world because you can always flash it and just let it go back around, do the whole thing over. But it won't be as consistent. But just keeping your eye on the ink and timing with your press, making sure that the press isn't outrunning you, and slowing it down to accommodate how fast you can do it. But when it's something simple, 2, 3, maybe 4 colors, just with one person, I can run the thing easily at 320, 350 shirts an hour. If we lift up the 9th head, where, I mean, we can jam 500, 550 shirts an hour, but our bottleneck at that point really is our dryer. So I need to do something about that. I think once I figure out the screen printer situation and we kind of get them rocking and rolling, the ultimate goal really is to have myself, if Shannon, you know, I know she wants to come back to work and all that, but if she doesn't have to work, then the ideal situation would be 4 or 5 people that are just running this place, and I'm just making sure everything's jamming. We got enough work coming. Having an automatic is, yeah, it's a blessing, but it also took a lot of hard work. So, let's see, what else have we got here? Thanks a lot, friend. Good evening. Okay, I already read those off. Looking to upgrade? What are you looking to the upgrade. Can you talk a bit about? Okay, so that's what you're talking about. Looking to upgrade to a javelin. On paper bags, I have a client that I use water base from Ryanette. Works pretty good. That's awesome. Actually had someone ask me via email the other day about screen printing on pizza boxes, which I thought we've had people ask us to print on pizza boxes. I'm like, man, that's cool, but it was like a Tuesday when they requested it. It was like, if I recall correctly, like 75 boxes, and they needed it by Friday. In my opinion, I would do it with water based, but you kind of need those drying racks where you pull all the top racks up, you print it, you put however many you can on a rack, and then you pull down your next rack and you just let them air dry. Especially with something like a pizza box, I wouldn't want to try and run that through an oven and put plastisol on it. Water based, probably the best way to go. See. Hey, Jose Lopez, Cartel Print. How are you doing, buddy? Thanks for joining me. Thanks for hanging out. How is the embroidery business going? Eddie, man, I'm glad you asked. That's something else I'm going to get into and do more of. And I feel like we got the machine, we moved the shop, and then everything that went on. I want to dive more into that part of it. It's actually sitting here in my office, and the reason being is, at least for the time being, is it's easy. It's just easier for me to bring in a little table, and I think I'll just do an update on how I've kind of been working things with it mainly kind of being me in production. Michelle's here Monday through Wednesday. Now that Shannon's getting back at it, I know it's gonna. I don't expect her to do full days, but getting her back into the routine. Anyways, I guess what I was getting at is it's sitting over here. I've got a little small table, and we do small orders. occasionally we'll get 100, couple hundred pieces, and it'll take all week. But I'm happy with our machine. It's been performing well. We've learned to digitize everything ourselves. So instead of us paying that $10 that we used to pay, not that $10 is terribly expensive, but it wasn't hard to pick up at all. And when we got the machine, it was cool that there's something different going on in the shop. Mario was like handling, at the time when Mario was still with us, he was handling all the screen printing. I was stacking, and I would hoop everything and put it on the machine, and it was hard not just to sit there and watch the thing go. I don't know. There's something about embroidery that I enjoy. It does need, you do kind of have, one of the learning curves is really just, I'd say the biggest learning curve is your tension between the top and bottom thread. So you got your top thread and the bobbin, making sure that tension's right. And as long as everything's routed the right way and you're oiling it every 4 hours or so, man, the thing's been a champ. And I'm actually looking forward to getting a forehead, and so that'll be something else that we do. Is we'll have either part or full-time person just to do embroidery. But it's been cool. We've gotten some pretty cool jobs. I think we've just about embroidered everything you can possibly think of, aside from maybe shoes. So be sure to check that out, though, if you're kind of questioning whether or not you should get an embroidery machine. Check for the link down in our videos. If it's not currently, as we're doing this live, if it's not down in the description, I'll post it later, because Recoma's hooked us up with a promo code, and it's like a commission type thing. So anytime you guys go through that link, and whether it's a smaller machine or a bigger machine, kicks a commission our way, and it doesn't cost you anymore. You actually get a discount, and it helps us, so that way we can grow our business and continue to bring you guys videos, because YouTube really doesn't pay that much. it's all a love thing, and being able to chat with all you guys. All right, I'm gonna go through and kind of rapid fire off some of these questions. Any tips on a smooth but bright white plastisol print? Haven't tried, but thinking 160 underbase 230 top. I would even step it up to maybe a 195, 200. Let's say a 195 or maybe 180s, and then print that. Just print it until it clears. Hit it with the flattening screen. I've got a tutorial up on flattening screens, even on a manual or an automatic. You don't have to have any special equipment. It just, you want to hit it while it's hot with your flattening screen, and then go back with your 230 top, and it will just make for a smooth print. I mean, we have clients, a contract client that has a lot of stuff that goes in and out, and he's like, man, you do some of the best work, and a lot of it are those small little details, and also taking your time with it. Want to make sure you do a good job, right? Hello, boss. CMYK Andes. Hope I'm saying that right. Hello, want to start my own shop this year with my brother, and we're in the dilemma which equipment to buy: Anatol, Riley Hopkins, or Ranar. I'd stay away from Riley Hopkins, to be honest. No offense, Ryan, if you're watching. Anatol's great. Obviously, we have some Anatol equipment here. We've had Ranar in the past. My opinion is, if you're looking new, I'd go with the Anatol. Ranar makes some good presses. Nothing wrong with it. It just might be a flavor thing for you. It might be a Ford versus Chevrolet. It might be a Toyota versus Nissan. Check them out. If you can go to a screen print show and actually put your hand on the machines, then you'll see what suits you. I think you can't go wrong with either. The Riley Hopkins, I'm sure it will work fine too. I don't have any experience with them, and this is all things that I've heard. So I'm sure they probably make great presses too. Although I've been out of manually printing things for quite some time. But if I were to buy a manual press, it more than likely would be an Anatol, just from everything that I've seen. And I'm just going to leave it at that. Yeah, getting older now, just not sure how long I'm going to be printing. Not as fast as I used to be. Totally get it. That's part of the reason I'm looking forward to that's one of the reasons I got an automatic and was going that route, and that's one of the reasons why I want to get some people in here that I can just train and have them rock and roll, and I make sure everything's going well. Because I turned 40 this past year, and even though I can keep up, I mean, I stay busy often, although I do occasionally need a nap. Or there's days where it's like I can't get behind the press. If I've been just hitting it hard, I've been going at it, just working hard and out in the heat. I have to give my body a rest. So yeah, I totally feel you. What's up, Pro Screen Printing and STL checking in? How are you doing? Always check eBay and Craigslist and Facebook for used equipment. That's also a great suggestion. I mean, that's how I end up getting my 6-color 6-station Ranar. To be honest, I had enough money for a 4-color 4-station Riley. Thought that was the way I was going to go, and found the 6-color 6-station with some additional goodies to go along with it. And I was like, screw it, I'm going to go for it. And it turned me on to Ranar. So you never know. You might think that this is the way that you're going to go, and something might cross your path, and a deal that you can't turn down. I might know where you can get a 4-phase dryer for the taking if you have the space and power hookup. We've got enough power, we've got enough space. I can't necessarily say that we can afford to buy any new equipment right now. We're kind of, money's a little tight because we got this bigger shop and we're not at the capacity we used to be. We're getting back up to it, but we're just really having to hustle. It took some time to even get situated. Mike, why don't you have a video showing what is the better way to put the shirt on the pallet? I have many problems with it. I have to take my tape measure and be sure it's good. That happened to you before? Really, if you go back to some of my earlier videos, I believe it might have been me putting on pallet tape or a video just after that. But generally what I did on the manual is I would draw a center line down the pallet, and I would register a screen up to it, and then I'd kind of go to every single pallet, make sure everything, all the center lines that I drew down them, even dimensionally, make sure everything was cool, and if one of the pallets were off, I'd adjust it. Generally with if you got a center line on there, with our current machine, we have the whole laser situation where even if your pallet's off a little bit, it doesn't matter. Just make sure that your shirt is centered down it, and you'll just kind of get a feel for it. I've printed enough shirts towards where I can put the shirt on there, pull it down, and drop it, and I know it's, as long as whatever my reference for my center, as long as that's spot on and that's centered to the graphic, then the shirt's going to be centered, give or take maybe half an inch either direction, because they're t-shirts. They move. It's not like you're printing on paper media. Even with paper media, there's still a little bit of a tolerance because you got your crop marks, and they print all this paper off. And I had worked for Minuteman for a few months, and I've done many press checks at the previous company that I worked for where they actually did offset printing. This is before all the digital stuff. And that's what they would do. They'd print them off, and I'd sit there and watch their little screen, and you would see the registration marks kind of bump around between all the colors. And the machine, what it would do is it would kind of adjust those rollers to try and make sure the CMYK colors stayed registered together. Then they'd put the catalogs or whatever they're doing into a machine, and it would just cut it. And not all of them were perfect. It's going to be a little more extreme with t-shirt printing. That's just how it goes. So if someone's expecting anything better than that, and they're getting out a tape measure and they're measuring from the seam of the shirt, you know what? The people that sew your shirts up, they're not perfect either. They might have an inch difference to half an inch between each of the shirt sizes. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. But I will show you, I will do a video on how to load shirts kind of fast and efficiently, how to kind of get into that routine. That's I'm glad you brought that up. It's something I want to do. Thought about it a lot. 19 or 20 foot long. Jesus, 19 or 20 feet. All right. I'll tell you what, email me. We'll talk about it, because 19 or 20 feet. Right now I'm fine with my 8 foot and it just being me. If it's 20 feet and I gotta walk 20 feet to go and stack shirts on my own until I get things back to a better spot. It might be more of a hassle than it's worth right now. I run mine through the dryer, small bags though. Master Gret Tommy, how you doing, man? Good to see you. I'll tell Shannon you said hello, and I'm sure she says hello. She's actually here, and don't know if you were listening earlier, but today was her first day back. She's here. She's just kind of taking it easy. She actually had to because she was sitting up in the seat for a while. She needed to just kind of she was laying on the floor for a little bit because she felt so hot. It got pretty hot in here today. Oh, it was Landon. Hey, what's up, Landon? Okay, cool, man. Well, great to have you. Glad you're hanging out with us. I have a small shop with many different aspects of digital equipment, but also screen printing. I think that perhaps screen printing needs its own environment. No. Yes, definitely. Screen printing is messy. If everything else is digital, it tells in the comparison as to how messy screen printing is. If you have the time to be very meticulous and clean everything, and which there's nothing wrong with that, I think that's so cool. But I'm not that kind of person. Once I'm finished with something, I'm ready to move on to the next creative process. Part of my something that's not a favorite process is cleaning all my equipment and making it look brand new. I like to rough my stuff up. That includes, like, I have about 4 different instruments sitting over here. Sure, that clicks off. And I made this one by hand, and I still rough the things up. Every single one of them. I don't know. It adds character to them. I know there's been some people who are like, would you let a mechanic with a dirty car work on your car? Hell yes. Some of the best damn mechanics are the dirty ones. If you want somebody clean and pristine, to each his own. Anyways, moving on. Thanks for the update. I'm a screen printer, but in the market for an embroidery machine. There's a Long Beach trade show this weekend. I'm going to go. Yes, you should definitely go. Go and check them out. Also, you should keep in mind, not that I'm going to give away any trade secrets here, but take a look at the machines and notice something about them. In other words, look at their construction. Look at how well they are embroidering whatever they're doing at the moment. Take note of the speed as well. Take note of how loud they are or how quiet they are. One of my buddies has a single head embroidery machine by another brand, and it's one of the it's so-called one of the top tier, and the thing just sounds like no offense, Wayne, if you're watching, it just sounds like it's loud. I don't want to make a I want to, but I don't want to be insensitive. It's just louder than the machine that we have. And everybody has their reasoning behind why they go with what they do. So go for it. I mean, look at the other machines out there. I can tell you that from what I've seen, the machine that we do have is very easy to use. It's quiet. And I mean, it's one of the reasons it's sitting here in my office, because I can let that run in the background, still take phone calls, do emails, and concentrate and all that stuff. And it does a good job. Let's see, what else? Hey, Matt, hope everything's going well. Love from H-Town. Thanks, Matthew Lopez. I appreciate that, man. Hope that you're doing well. Also, hope your family's doing well. Eddie SJ, thanks. Eddie Lucky, enjoy show. I signed us up, Shannon and I, for the show coming up here. Man, when is it? But it's the one in Fort Worth. So if any of you guys are going to the Fort Worth show, the imprinted, I think it's called the Impression Show now. We'll be there, or at least I will be. Hopefully we can get Michelle to come out too. I don't know if that's going to happen, but we shall see. Maybe even Panda. We'll see if he wants to. Do you use Photoshop or Illustrator? I use both. They are two different types of programs. And I don't mean that condescendingly or anything like that. They both have their place. It's like food and water for me. I can't do without one or the other. They're both necessary. One's vector, one is a pixel-based program. So get both. Group seminar. I'm not sure what kind of software is used for embroidery. So what the machine runs off of is a DST file. That just is basically a programming file that tells it what to do, where to embroider, what needle to use, where to trim, all that stuff. But as far as digitizing, the software we're using is Chroma, which actually comes with the machine. And I'm going to dive into that because it's pretty interesting. It's pretty cool and fairly easy to get into embroidering your own stuff. It's taken many jobs, just like screen printing. It's taken many jobs to kind of learn what to really do, but it got to the point towards where it was like, man, the people that were digitizing for us were taking too long. I needed a little bit of a change, and it was like, you know what, I'm gonna do it. And then it came down to comparing our work to theirs, and there was one job where it's like, okay, we're just doing ours from here on out, and with some really small text, and we just managed to make it that much better. And I was like, okay, we got this. We'll do it ourselves, and we'll do sew outs and all that to make sure. With embroidery, you're trying to minimize the amount of color changes and the times it cuts and how many stitches you're putting down, because all of that, you want your product to be on there for the shortest amount of time possible. Want to kind of get it in and out, and you know, it do a good job. It look awesome. Hey bro, been following you for a minute. Glad you're back in the groove. Thanks, Kevin. I appreciate it. Starting to kind of get back at it and just finding time to do it. We've just been busy, but also like last Monday, even one of the reasons I'm a little later today than I had hoped to be is just because we've been busy and we're short staffed, and as you guys know, with everything that's gone on, a lot of changes have gone on. So now we're kind of getting the ball rolling again. Honestly, because we need to, because man, we all got to make a living, right? Looking for a single head now between Brother Tajima, Baruda. I don't know how to say that. Let's see. I also want to check out the Ricoma 2 head. In my opinion, I've seen Rybeats. Go over and check out his channel if you haven't. He has a Tajima. I've seen the work that they do. We've had, when we were outsourcing, they had a Tajima, and I'll say that if it comes down to you buying a single head versus a 2 head, and you're just kind of on the kick of particular names, scratch that. Just kick that out the door. Get the 2 head. I know when we got ours, people were kind of like, hey, to get any real production done, you should have got a 2-head. There's truth to that. There is truth to that. However, where with our single head, we're running it consistently, that it's paying for itself, but also having a 2-head would, the more heads you can afford, it'll save you from long hours being behind a single head. So just keep that in mind, because if I had to do it all over again, I probably would have just went with a 4. I know they make 2, 3, and 4. I'm sure they go beyond that, but for our shop, the amount of production that we do, a 4 would be just fine. Even a 2, and then we can kind of scale things from there. But I'm also just enjoying the embroidery side of things. Just spread thin. 8-ball imaging. Tell Shannon, hey. Shannon, 8-ball imaging says hey. All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna wrap it up here soon. I'm just gonna kind of skim through some of these questions here. I would get more in the single head. Yes, I agree. Even though if that's what you can afford, there's nothing wrong to getting a single head. It will, like I said, you'll just be behind the machine longer, or you can just let it run in the background while you do other stuff. Doesn't take long to hoop something. Let it run in the background and go tend to other things. 5-7 minutes, come back and change the thing out. Make sure everything's hunky-dory. Buddy got a Ricoma 2-head and already upgraded a 6-head Tajima after 1.5 years. That's awesome. Congrats. Let's see. I was thinking about 1 head, but once you get an embroidery game, business picks up fast. This is true. 100 piece in 2 hours instead of 8 hours. There's a lot of truth to that. So with embroidery machines, bigger is always better. Anyone of good alternative Richardson that's actually in stock? Look into Cambridge. We've been getting caps through a vendor here in town that sells Cambridge caps. They seem to still have stock, so be sure to check that out. Everybody remember CMYK, green equals green money. Mikey would be good old CMYK. I have a 2-head MT 1502. How are you liking your machine, Novo? Still loving my machine. I hindsight's 20. That was 6 months ago. It was only 6, maybe 7 or 8. Thanks you're welcome. I appreciate that, Eddie. All right, later, Master Graphics. My first time doing chat. Happy you are back. Welcome, Kevin. I'm actually about to get out of here, so good to have you on. Been good, although I need to market it more. Got it in January 2020. That's right. I think we had talked about that because it's about the same time we had got ours. Man, we had actually, just with everything that had gone on, I had to turn down probably one of the biggest embroidery orders ever that we've gotten. Couple 200-300 pieces of caps, couple 200 or 300 pieces of polos and all that, and it was just and a couple thousand shirts, and it was just way too much, like, while everything was going on, the logistics of it, and just the amount of just how much I was just how thin I was just spread at the time. So I regret having to turn it down. I'm sure I could have outsourced it, but again, it was just too much. More of those will come by. It won't be the last one. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up, and if you're looking into getting an embroidery machine, be sure to check out our link that will save you some money. And again, it will help support us as a small business by just kicking us a sales commission. Doesn't cost anything extra to you guys. Also, we have some screen printing templates, art approval. I'm still working on separation, action steps, excuse me. Been a while, and I'm also kind of considering, let me know down in the comments as well, considering kind of like a little bit of a master class kind of thing that covers every single little thing you can really think of, and having that as kind of like a one-time fee thing towards where you can access everything. Maybe something that's like $50 towards where you don't have to search around to find the answer to a question. And I think it will help y'all out. And it'll also support us as small YouTubers, because after all, we do have to make a living, and YouTube is not how it helps. Don't get me wrong. If you start a YouTube channel, it'll help. But really where the money comes from is being behind the press and us cranking out t-shirts. Tio, thanks, Matt. Happy to see you again. Take it easy. Have a good one. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. One last thing. Let's see, 100 of the shirts and 50 of the caps. Y'all use Printavo or Inksoft Printavo. Okay. We use Printavo, literally. All right, I'm going to get out of here, gang. Thanks for chiming in. Once again, Shannon is doing better. She had her first day at work today. And things are definitely, we're definitely in a better place, and we look forward to continuing to get things back to normal and just kind of taking it beyond where we had already been. And so follow the journey. Be sure to subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And be sure to say hello, even down in the comments. Like this video, guys. Like this video, because it lets us know that we're doing a good job, and it will recommend our videos. Anything that we put up, just leave a like, and I appreciate it, guys. Until next time, we shall see y'all later. Y'all have enjoy the rest of your week.